Salam sejahtera, anda bersama saya Cynthia Ng dalam AWANI Global. Hubungan diplomatik antara Jepun dan Malaysia telah memasuki tahun ke-66 dan pastinya yang sinonim dengan rakyat Malaysia ialah dasar pandang timur ataupun Look East policy yang telah mencapai 4 dekad. Dan dalam membincangkan hala tuju hubungan kedua-dua negara dan juga adakah dasar pandang ke timur masihkah relevan dengan rakyat Malaysia pada masa kini, bersama saya di studio hari ini ialah Duta Besar Jepun ke Malaysia, Tuan Yang Terutama Takahashi Katsuhiko. Joining me on the show today, I would like to continue this discussion in English. Joining me today on this show is His Excellency Takahashi Katsuhiko, Ambassador of Japan to Malaysia. Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for making time to come here.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, Ambassador, I know you have had a very big year last year. It was our 65th anniversary, diplomatic relations anniversary, and over 4 decades of Look East policy since it was introduced by our former Prime Minister, Dr. Mahathir Mohamad. We're going to talk a bit about that a bit later on, but I do want to get your thoughts about your posting since you arrived here in November 2021. Quite an interesting time during the pandemic.
Yes.
How has it been for you?
Yeah, thank you very much. Actually, I arrived where still self-quarantine measures was imposed. So I started Malaysian life with self-quarantine. But fortunately, after the following year, we start to see the relaxation of the regulations. So my activity start to more open up with the lifting of regulations. I'm really happy that I could do a lot of things. In particular, last year when we celebrated 65th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations and 40 years anniversary of Look East policy. We really done a lot of events together with Malaysian friends, and we could count around 180 events even registered under the Embassy of Japan. So we have achieved a lot last year and this anniversary year, and I really wish to continue doing that, building upon more on the already existing bilateral relations between Japan and Malaysia.
When you talk about bilateral relations, Japan has always been a very strong supporter of Malaysia. In fact, I was just reading earlier that Japan opened its consulate in Malaysia just about 9 days after we achieved independence. So, one of our first friends, when we're a small, tiny nation. And I do want to talk about the relationship that Japan and Malaysia has, the bond. Why is it unique and why is it important to Japan?
Of course, Malaysia is rich in resources. So maybe the first relation between Japan and Malaysia is from trade, buying something from Malaysia, which is necessary for our industrialization. But so that's one reason why we established the relation from the very beginning of the independence of Malaysia. But I think the uniqueness is coming from the Look East policy, which Dr. Mahathir initiated in 1982, because it really facilitates Malaysian people to learn and study and get training in Japan. Those people learn Japanese working style, working ethics, and even Japanese languages, and come back to Malaysia to contribute the nation building. It really accelerates the industrialization of Malaysia, I hope. And having a Malaysian who know about Japan more and who speak Japanese really invited more Japanese investors into Malaysia to do more businesses. So I think starting with the trade, then going into investment, and the investment also start to create employment. So we have a very positive synergy in strengthening our bilateral relation.
And apart from trade, of course, there's this cultural aspect, people to people.
Yes.
I remember growing up in school, one of the events that I look forward to the most is actually Bonodori,
yes.
the cultural program, the Japanese cultural program. What, in your opinion, are some of the key milestones we have achieved, and what more personally for you as ambassador here during your posting would you like to see to be enhanced?
Yes, of course, economic relation will grow with the activity of Japanese company. I'm not so worried about it. But at the same time, as you have mentioned, cultural aspect is very important. So this is what I really want to put special emphasis on. So Bon Odori, after suspending 2 years because of the COVID, come back to Malaysia July last year. There was some controversy over Bon Odori, but I'm really happy and overwhelmed by the Malaysian people's support for this festival, both in Selangor and Penang. Also, pop culture and animation, for example, is one of the culture which Malaysian people really eager to follow. And for information, in December last year, we had an anime song concert in the KLCC together with anime festival. So, and it attracted 2,000 Malaysian participants, and very much impressed when the singer says something in Japanese. They respond in Japanese. This is what I was not expecting. So I was very much impressed, and I really start to think, this is the area which we really need to put special emphasis on.
Is this something that you will emphasize on this year, in 2023?
Of course, we will continue looking for what will be the good thing, but anime and other Japanese culture, which we really want to promote. Already, a lot of people enjoy Japanese culture, but we try to bring in something more special to Malaysian people.
All right, we were looking forward to that. Now, I know you mentioned a bit about trade, economy. I do need to ask you on this. When it comes to investments, of course, the past 3 years had been very difficult for everyone, not just Malaysia or even Japan. Now, we are opening up. And what are you looking forward to most in terms of investments and improving relations from the industrial perspective?
Yes. Before coming here, I thought that Japanese investment to Malaysia decreased during the COVID. But actually, it was a happy surprise that the investment never decreased, even during the pandemic. For your information, from 2020 to 2021, 1 year, there is an increase of 7.5 billion ringgit investment from Japan.
In what areas do you know?
Mainly for the manufacturing industries. But it showed that Malaysia continued to be the very important manufacturing center for Japanese companies, and it continued even during the pandemic. So now regulation-related pandemic start to be lifted. So we have a good reason to expect more to come. In these days, not only traditional manufacturing industry, but other new industries are coming in, like retailing industry, service industry, and so on. You may know Don Don Donki and Lalaport, which are also start to sell something to the Malaysian people. This is one area of new investment. And I think a logistic company also start to be interested in, and also some manufacturing companies try to establish a center here, because this is a hub of ASEAN and a hub for the Islamic world, and a hub to learn something about Islam and adjust our products into the Islamic world based on Malaysia. So this type of trend is coming out. So I really want to put emphasis on this aspect to try to attract more Japanese company to do business with Malaysia.
From an investment perspective, among Malaysians, there's been a lot of discourse about the attractiveness of Malaysia as an investment destination. Maybe not because we are less attractive now, but because our competitors, our neighbors are also becoming more attractive. I do want to get your thoughts about that investment appetite among Japanese companies in Malaysia. What is the conversation that they are having?
Yes, I agree with you that there are more competition than before among ASEAN countries. So a lot of Japanese companies also look for the possibility of doing business with other countries like Indonesia or Vietnam. But those who make a decision to come to Malaysia say that you continue to have a better infrastructure, and a lot of people speak English, and diversity of culture does exist. So this is really make them facilitate to come to Malaysia to do businesses. Of course, cheaper labor may be available in Indonesia or Vietnam, but when it comes to the high-end product, still Malaysia is in a better position. Of course, there are some problems like lack of labor. Now the foreign labor will not coming in as it used to do. So we need more labor force. This is one of the bottleneck. And another thing is maybe how to motivate those Japanese companies doing business here to reinvest inside Malaysia. If such a, how can I say, advantages were given to the Japanese companies, they will invest more into Malaysia instead of investing what they have gained here to other countries like Indonesia, Vietnam.
Now, having said that, though, Malaysia's ambition is to move away from just become a low-cost manufacturing center. We want to move up the value chain, have more high-tech industries. Do you see Malaysia has that potential? And if yes, what are the areas that Japanese companies are looking at?
Yes. For example, on the governmental level, we already agreed to enhance our cooperation on aviation industry, for example. This is one of the high-end area. And also digital economy, and those areas are coming in. So I think you already start to introduce a lot of high-end technology, not low-tech products. So I think industrial structure is already developing quite fast. I think another possible area which we want to explore is how to address climate change.
Yep.
Yes. So you produce LNG, which we import a lot and we appreciate. But at the same time, we have to work together for the green economy. And those technology will be very much needed to the country like Japan and Malaysia. And Malaysia is really eager to allocate more resources for the developing those green technologies. So Japanese company and Japanese government, we are looking forward to work together with Malaysia.
Now, I know policies are very important to support investments and make it favorable for businesses to be in Malaysia. So we've just had a change of government. I do wonder what is the conversation among corporate Japan, because prior to this, there have been a lot of political instability in Malaysia, and there a bit of hesitation, of pouring in money and plan for long-term investments. What are they saying now?
I think it's still early to say how the new government will be, but our expectation, our only expectation is, I really want the government which is stable and have a long-term policy, which will make the investors feeling very comfortable. When I come to Malaysia 1 year ago, a lot of Japanese company people say, we have no problem in doing business in Malaysia. But unfortunately, political uncertainty is prevailing. But I think after the election, a lot of people voted for, and now the unity government is created. So as a non-Malaysian national living in Malaysia, the only thing we hope is stability and predictability. If you can achieve that, we don't worry much about it.
Well, we hope so too.
Yes.
But in terms of policy, what are the areas that we can improve on to be more attractive to Japanese companies?
Of course, as I mentioned to you, the regulations, we need more laborers coming in, and also higher skilled labor will be needed. So how to provide vocational training inside Malaysia is one thing. And of course, reinvestment, which I have mentioned, is very important. So we really want to see the new incentives to come in so that Japanese company can enjoy. And I think you can put more emphasis on what you have achieved in the Islamic economy. So halal industry and Islamic banking, those two areas is where Malaysia is one of the front runner in the Middle Eastern countries. So I think you can put special emphasis on this part so that Japanese company can use Malaysia as a starting point, entry point to the Islamic world to do businesses. So by doing so, I think you're gonna get more business chances than before.
All right. Let's hope so. Okay, I do want to talk about the Look East policy now. So I'm an 80s baby, so I grew up with the Look East policy. I understand it quite a bit. we want to emulate Japan in terms of, the development model, work ethics, discipline. But what do you feel about the Look East policy for the current generation? Do you think it is still relevant in this day and age?
Yes, I hope it will be relevant. At least we can be proud of what we have achieved in the past 40 years. But at the same time, we keep on changing the content of Look East policy with the development of that time. For example, 10 years ago, we tried to introduce into the Look East policy more role by the private sector, and also try to introduce more high-end technology. This is what we have done 10 years ago. But now, of course, we need to continue this one. But at the same time, I think we also have to expand the scope of Look East policy to include non-manufacturing sectors, such as disaster risk reduction, addressing to the aging society and healthcare. Those are the new area. And already Japanese companies start to be interested in. And I think this is the area where we have relative advantage, because in Japan we have a lot of disasters, not only hurricane, typhoon, but the earthquakes and so on. And we know how to provide the early warning system. So this is one area we can try to explore. And another one is aging society. Statistically speaking, Malaysia is 50 years younger than Japan. But your society, no doubt, aging day by day. And after 50 years from now, your society will be like Japan now. So you will face the challenges which we already faced in the past 50 years. So you have to be prepared for it. So this is the one thing. And another thing is, Look East policy used to be rather from Japan to Malaysia, like a donor and recipient. But you already developed well, good enough. So now we can work as a partner. So we want to have more equal Look East policy. And we can work together as a partner. And also we can do business as a partner to other parts of the world. This is what I have been saying last year through the lectures, and it had gained a lot of support, and I want to continue in this way.
Okay. On that note, I do want to get your thoughts about the trends that we are seeing, especially you look at the global economy. The coming year, well, this year is going to be another challenging year with fears of inflation, higher interest rates, the ongoing war. So a lot happening. How will this impact plans and also, the things that you have just talked about?
Yes. When pandemic is over, we thought now is the time for the quick economic recovery. But unfortunately, the Russian invasion into Ukraine really created a very serious division among some part of the world. It's really created some uncertainty for the not only security but also economic stability. I think what is important is to put emphasis on the rule of law and solving everything through diplomatic means, and try to enhance unity rather than division. Japan and Malaysia developed economically thanks to the free trade, right? So we are rather the party who tried to support this free trade system with the security and the safety. So Japan and Malaysia, I think, can work together even closer under this difficult time. And we're really looking forward to the dialogue this year, because Japan is the chair of G7 group, and also we are the member of Security Council as a non-permanent member this year and next. So we really want to have a close dialogue with Malaysian side, so that how we can enhance rule of law and how to create stability and a sense of unity instead of divisions.
There has been some major policy shift in Japan itself in 2022, whereby Japan has strengthen its defense spending. Can I get your thoughts about what's that about, and how will it impact, especially regional players? Will Japan be stepping up its security or role, in regional security in the coming years?
Yeah, you are talking about the new national security strategy, which has been adopted at the end of last year. Of course, the background is quite well understood. Now we are facing the serious challenges, not only Russian invasion to Ukraine, but the China's attempt to change the status quo by force and coercion, and North Korea's missile launch. So in such a difficult time, it's quite natural for us to review our security policy. People tend to pay attention to the increase of the military budget, but actually we already say from the first pillar of this our national strategy is diplomacy.
Okay.
Yeah, so we put diplomacy first of all, to keep our security. But at the same time, if we see the current situation, we need to have a more innovative idea how we can protect ourselves. Our constitution remains the same, so we already give up our military forces to invade others. But at least we need to enhance our power to protect ourselves. So this is the direction. So I want to clarify on this occasion. Of course, military part is one element, but this is a part of broader picture of our national security strategy.
But how can we understand Japan's role in the region? Will there be any change in that sense?
Of course, we put diplomacy in the front line of policy. So we really continue to have a dialogue. Even there are some differences on positions. So some people worry about our relation with China or Korea, but we keep having a dialogue, and we have a frequent exchange of views and visitors between those countries. And if we stop the dialogue, that will cause more difficulty. So we try to keep in this line, and we try to keep the door open for the dialogue to whatever party in our region, so that we can establish peace and security.
Just one final question really about the role of ASEAN, because looking at what's happening, the decoupling between US and China and the tensions that we are seeing in the north, how can ASEAN step up in that sense from your perspective?
Yes, Japan promotes the concept called free and open Indo-Pacific. And ASEAN is in the middle of Pacific and the Indian Ocean, so ASEAN is very important for the peace and stability in the region. Japan has been the traditional dialogue partner with ASEAN for a long time, and this year we celebrate 50 years anniversary of Japan-ASEAN cooperation. So we really continue to push ASEAN as a very important group, and we really care about the centrality of ASEAN. ASEAN decides and ASEAN acts to be the reliable partner of the international community. I think, of course, you have some problems internally, but at the same time, we saw ASEAN as a very strong, important regional bodies. So we really are looking forward to work together with ASEAN like we do with Malaysia, enhancing rule of law, how to maintain free trade and safety of navigation, and so on. And already ASEAN has adopted the similar type of concept like free and open the Pacific of Japan. So we're going to work together with ASEAN on this issue.
All right. Just to wrap things up, Your Excellency, if you can talk to us about what are you looking forward to most for this year?
Yes. Anyway, anniversary year is over, but this is not the end of the story, rather start of the new chapter. Therefore, we really want to build the bilateral relation much stronger, supported by this request policy. We already identified a lot of areas of cooperation, and I think we need to talk with the new government, but I hope new government will be supportive of this type of idea, so that Japan and Malaysia can work together in line with what we have agreed last year.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Your Excellency, for sharing your thoughts, and best of luck with what you had planned.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.